I'm really excited for this chapter. This is the most important piece of the presentation. I think that knowing how to grade your trades, realizing that not all trades are the same, is such a separator from the amateurs to the professionals. So after this chapter, hopefully if you understand this correctly, you're going to be one step closer to a professional and one step away from the amateurs. This is a great quote. What we do in between our highest probability trade setups will determine our success. And what that really means is most of the money is not made in clicking, taking trades with your hands. Most of the money is made in sitting on your hands and waiting for those best trade setups. And that goes back to what I've been saying throughout the day here. Each trade setup is not the same. Think to the characteristics that we spoke about. You understand now that we have processes for grading these trades, saying, hey, this has space left to move on average daily range. You know what average daily range is now. Hey, this EMA and TDI setup looks great for trend. Now that feeds it more towards an A setup. And the other questions that we ask ourselves are detailed in the ASFX system checklist. But to keep everything simple, we just use an A, B, C grading system. Don't be one of those guys that says this is an A minus, this is a B plus. Bro, what's the difference? Keep it simple. That's going to make it more repeatable and easier to follow day in and day out, even if you're an emotional roller coaster. As your emotional roller coaster starts to even out, you can make it more flat and less emotionally rocky by sticking to simple processes like this. So what goes into an A setup? Remember, we have 3 entry signals, A1, D1, and D2. Those 3 signals can each have A setups, A. So what goes into those setups? First, through the checklist that we work through, nothing can be better. You can't find anything wrong with it. These don't happen too often, so when they do present, it's our duty, it's our job to take these trades as they present, because they don't present very often. Number 2, every question on the checklist is good to go. It's got space to ADR, the candle formation is proper, trend is clean, there's no overbought, there's nothing wrong with the setup. That's what goes into these A setups. And like I said, nothing is wrong with it, and it's rare that you find these perfect setups. So when you do see them, like I said, we have to be able to take the trade. Now let's talk about the B setups. This is probably the most common setup that we find in the ASFX systems. These are nearly perfect setups. Maybe 1 or 2 things could be better. More likely than not, it's going to have a good risk reward setup. You're going to still be able to get your 2 to 1. And this is the middle ground where a lot of trades present, because most trades, like I said, are not going to be perfect. There's always going to be something wrong with it. And you still have to be willing to take those trades, even if they're not perfect. And that's where we find the sweet spot here with these B setups, because they're not as bad as these C setups that we're going to talk about now. The C graded setups, 2 or more parameters on the checklist could be better. We want to avoid the majority of these C setups. The reason for that, and it's only something that I've learned over time, is that a lot of traders don't have language for trades that they should avoid. This is our language for trades that we should avoid in ASFX, because not every trade is equal. I've said that 10 times, but also some trades are worth not being involved in at all. Win or lose. If you would have made money or lost money, it's better to not be involved in it at all. And here's what I tell everybody. Let's say you were to trade 1 C setup on a Monday. With that trade, you're subconsciously saying that you would trade every C setup that presents. That's very difficult because you'll often find a lot of them. They present often, where you can see an entry formation, but there's too many things wrong with it, and you're like, I don't want to trade this. There's no risk reward. There's yesterday's high is in the way of good risk reward, or that candle formation is almost perfect, but it's not perfect, or the TDI could be better. It's swapping zones. The market sentiment line isn't clear. All of those trades are giving you language of what to avoid. It's saying to stay out of this. So I think for a long time, I was trying to trade all the C setups, and then I was still taking too many losses. And someone said this, it might be Mike Bellafiore or Dr. Steenbarger. They said, what a lot of traders need to understand is that they don't need to add wins. They don't need to add A and B setups, Bs and As. You don't need to add these. You need to instead remove these completely from your trading. Get rid of these C setups, and all of a sudden, because you took losses away, yeah, you might take a few wins away, but because you took more losses away, that was my picture falling in the background. Sorry about that. Because you took those losses away, you're then able to increase your win rate, increase your profitability, increase your confidence, and therefore consistently build your trading business. So now you should understand what goes into grading the trade setups. A's have nothing wrong with them. They're a little bit rare, hard to find, but when they present, we've got to act. Then you've got the B setups, where we find most of our trade setups to be. one or two things could be better. You can still get good risk reward, still follows the edge of what a good entry looks like. The bias is clear. Those ones, again, we got to be willing to act, but with less position size than the A setups. And then of course we've got the C setups here, which get the smallest size if we take them, but more often than not should just be avoided, in my opinion, to cut out losses. And you're gonna cut out wins. You're gonna see a C setup and you're gonna think Austin said don't take the C setups, and it's gonna move in the direction you thought, and you're gonna be frustrated the first time that happens. That's okay. Let go of that expectation that you need to be in every winning trade. You don't. It's impossible to be in every winning trade. Find the highest probabilities, those A's and those B's, cut out these C's, you're gonna trade less, you're gonna win more, you're gonna grow your business faster, and that's what you're here to do. You're here to learn how to make money consistently. I'm telling you, if you can grade your trade setups and cut out the C setups and focus on the highest probability ones with proper position sizing, you're gonna write your own ticket in this business. So now, with the next chapter, we're gonna move into building your trading plan. I'm gonna show you an example of my trading plan, the one that I share with all of the ASFX members. You guys are getting a behind the scenes look in the next chapter.